Chris, thank you and welcome for joining this podcast. This is Chris Dyson of Chris Dyson Architects, London-based architect and practice director. Chris, welcome. If you'd like to tell our audience, please, about who you are, your history, your background, the practice, and introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nick. We've been around for, since 2004. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Excellent.
Previously, I had been working for Jim Sterling and Michael Wilford for a big chunk of my career. As soon as I'd finished college at Glasgow School of Art, I came to London and worked on many international projects like the British Embassy in Berlin and Singapore Art Centre and lots of other exciting projects. And then I worked for Terry Farrell for a brief period of time, 3 years, before setting up in my own practice. And I've not regretted it ever since. I have had some wonderful experiences. I still have some great clients and more great clients on the horizon, really. Yeah.
Tell us about the practice now. Then is it there's a few of you, or how's it made up, staff numbers wise, and level of seniority, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so the practice has some breadth and depth in the people, as in any business. People are important, and we have Yashin Kamal is my design director of the project, many of the projects, and the practice lead besides me. And then we have various other members of the office who are in support as associates and as project leads. And underneath it all, we have a good administration staff who run the kind of workings of the practice and keep that moving smoothly. So it's a good operational structure. And we have some really exciting projects going forward. One in Truman Brewery, for example, and another one in Goods Yard, which are both local projects, but we work all the city of London and outside it in the home counties, and also internationally as well. We've finished a project last year. Yeah.
I've obviously within Architecture Vogue, I've shared some of your work so far, and I know you're sending me more across, which is brilliant. And as you mentioned, a lot of your work is expands beyond the reach of London. I shared some of your work in, I think it was Italy, wasn't it, fairly recently, which was a lovely project. Yeah, that gained lots of traction. That's so. Was that an unusual piece of work that came across, or how did that come about?
Most of my projects come from word of mouth and connections, and both from professional colleagues and from clients to clients. And so that was one where actually there were friends, a couple who had always I'd known for a long time and had always wanted to do a project together, and so they did, and they combined forces to create a really unique and special home, which two parts, one which is a house to rent and one which is a house for them to live in. So yeah, I mean, I'm used to collaborating with many people, whether it be or whether it be here in the UK. So I don't have any problem with collaborating with fellow professionals to help project, and I think that's sometimes important if you're working abroad, that you are happy to collaborate with those people who know more about the local politics and the affairs of realizing a building. But the thing about architecture is it's pretty universal. It's all about construction and sense construction methods and design, and that is quite a universal language. So
what about planning policies and alike when you go abroad? Are there similar issues that we hear of in the UK, or?
Yeah, I mean they all vary, don't they? I'm sure they're different from the UK. So yes, we collaborated on that Italian project with a local architect who guided us through the myriad of historical red tapes that you had to jump loops we had to jump through in order to realize the project.
Yeah. How with your projects, you've alluded to that you're working in London and beyond at the moment, then how are you finding work generally, and the planning procedures, and any potential delays? I speak to practice directors from all around the country, and one of their biggest bugbears is always the planning policies currently. Is that
Well,
something you've often struggled with, or
planning. We do a lot of a rich variety of work. So we do commercial, bespoke, civic, and private homes,
yeah,
and so the planning policies vary for each of these types of work. Yes, planning is frustrating at the moment, and I'm hoping and believing that we'll see some change with the new government in that regard, and a more positive environment for architects to work in. But it will take time, and these things are slow-moving wheels, so we shall see.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, a newly to be elected member of the RIBA, of course, may help things move forward as and when that comes about.
yeah. I think Chris Williamson, who's a pal, will have a lot to do in a short space of time as a
Yeah,
president of the RIBA. But he uh, he has a good attitude, and I'm sure that he will be able to present to government the right causes and effects to change. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I hear nothing but good things. So yes, fingers crossed.
yeah,
Uh, and then, of course, yourself, the practice. We've spoken about the work that you do. So, do you have plans of you're at your 20-year anniversary now? Have you had any kind of plans of future growth and things like that, or is the practice as you
yeah.
want it right now?
No, I think we will aim to grow with the projects as they come forward. It's always a very practical consideration. I don't just grow for the hell of it.
Yeah,
We like to take on work which is interesting and varied and relevant to our portfolio. And
yeah,
I would only like to grow on the basis that I have a consistent demand to establish growth. I think many businesses can sometimes aim to grow and then find themselves in trouble if they're not
yeah.
careful. I like to do things in a cautious way. Yeah.
Yeah, which is absolutely. I would be the same. And of course, you with your history and the varied work that you can bring in, finding new members of staff is perhaps easier than some.
Well, it does help having a track record and having good work under the belt to
Yeah,
attract good members of staff. And I think when we want to, should be able to. I don't think that's something I'm particularly concerned about at the moment. But we just want to be able to produce good quality. Yeah, I mean, we're open to working on all sorts of projects, different sizes and scales, and size doesn't intimidate us. You could be commissioning Norman Foster studio to work on an airport, and you'll still get 4 people on it, uh, initial design stages, and that's the way we like to work. We will commit the same number of staff as a big studio would to establish uh, the designs and the concepts for projects,
yeah,
and very intensive and a robust process with the clients. As and when we need to work out the detailed designs and the working drawings, that becomes another matter, and that's where collaboration can work well if we need to on a bigger project. But most of the time, we produce our own working drawings, our own detailing, and we're quite capable of doing that. So that's the sort of method that we tend to use. But we don't. No project is repeated, and on the
yeah,
whole, we are always looking for fresh ideas and a fresh approach to each site that we're given. So, whether it's on a hillside or on a flat piece of land or in a very sensitive historic context, we are always working to achieve a unique and appropriate solution.
yeah. Well, I can see from the work that you've kindly shared with Architecture Vogue so far, as you mentioned, the varied work that you've historically worked on, and you've mentioned the projects that you have coming up as well. So, thank you for sending those across, and I look forward to more coming as and when.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the Truman Brewery project's particularly exciting at the moment.
mm,
We're just putting that into planning, and that's going public live. and that's part of a bigger master plan.
Yeah.
Doing the exhibition building there, which has become an established use for the old boiler house, which has the trademark chimney with Truman written on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That is an iconic symbol of the area and a brick lane,
Yeah.
and it's really exciting to be able to extend that and work on
Yeah.
that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and a new facility for it.
Well, it's excellent. I will say, as soon as any of your work gets shared by us, it reaches, viral levels. It's really very good. People clearly have a keen interest in the work that you do, and that's testament to the last couple of decades that you've been doing so. So, yeah, all credit to you and your team.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, long may we continue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's 20 years strong and growing by the day. So yes, excellent.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, we found over the years that our work has spread from local to sort of more regional, and that we enjoy. And so long may that continue. We're working over in West London. We've just finished a club for Third in Westminster,
Yeah,
which a really great project to work on. Very took us right from COVID throughout the other side, and is now up and running, and is a very popular restaurant cafe for people who are working in Westminster.
okay.
And political interviews get taken in the building. They have a recording studio and all that sort of thing. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's an exciting project, that one. We've just got another pub project which we've signed up for, which will be rather exciting. More on that later. We can't tell you too much about that, but it's
okay.
a major redevelopment as well. So that would be quite exciting.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us on this latest podcast episode. I thank you for your time and sharing your experiences with our audience. And please do keep up the excellent work moving forward.
Pleasure. And yeah, I look forward to that dialogue. And I'm sure we will do some great projects in the future.
Thank you for listening to An Interview with an Architect. Please remember to subscribe and follow for more.